This is all part of my pre-gig ritual. It's the worst time for a performer is just before you go on, and so I change my strings every night because I think I want to give everybody the best sound off my guitar I can. So I change strings, and thanks to a friend of mine, Jerry Donahue, I've learned how to put strings on so they don't slip. I might even try and share it with you tonight. I use these strings, they're called Newtone strings, and they're a lovely combination of phosphor bronze, and they've now given me the honour of my own particular label and gauges, which I use on all my guitars, because I think you want to have constancy when you play. So I'm going to show you how I put strings on. Now you see I've cleared all the strings off, and there's a lot of stuff talked about putting strings on, but I've found this is the best way, and it's sort of obvious really. So I'll start with the bass string, and you know it plugs in the normal way, and then we'll show you in close-up in a minute or two how I go about doing this. But the string goes through, you set the capstan so that it can go from left to right, or on this string, right to left, or east to west. And once you've threaded it through, I'll just pull it till it holds like that. Can you see that? Can you see that, Dave? There it is. And now it's held, and that's all I do. And then lift up the string, press it against the capstan, that's this little rod here. Press it up, now it's at a right angle, and then tuck it under the string like this. Show you in a bit of close-up in a minute. Pull it against the capstan and then wrap it over like that. Now, what happens then is as soon as you turn your string, it's held, and it can't slip from there. It can only slip from here. So when all 6 strings are on, I then stretch them down the bottom, tune them up 2 or 3 times before I go on, and I've been lucky I can actually do an hour and a half, maybe a 2-hour set without even touching the strings for tuning, which is great, because I think it's really boring watching somebody tune the guitar. It becomes a nervous twitcher, I think. Anyway, I'm going to show you something else. I was showing this to my dear friend, Bert Yance. We were in America, and I was showing him this guitar because I was quite proud of it. And Bert said to me, well, do you know how to unwrap a string without uncalling it? Because you do often prick your finger and bleed all over your guitar. Okay, you take the string, you hold it by one end, and then you just go, and there it is, unwrapped. Isn't that good? So, because I do this every night, I think of Bert every night. And not much of a finer thing to think about before you go out on stage on one of our finest guitarists, poets, musicians. And so Bert's always with me in the dressing room, as it were. I know it sounds sentimental, but that's absolutely true. We had some good times and travelled the world together. So I showed him how to tie a string on, and he showed me how to unwrap a string. So I'll just do this one for you. Right, we've put the string in that end, and now we're going back into here, east to west. I can just see the hole. Just pull it through till it holds. Just pull it in against the capstan, really. So it's in a straight line. Pull it, it's held. Lift it straight up. Wrap it round the capstan, underneath. Hold it, and then do that. And it's locked. Can you see that?
See that?
So as soon as you turn the peg, you'll see it binds on it, so it cannot move, and it can only move from down at the other end. Show you one on the other side. It's the exact opposite move. You go in from this side, up, over, and back over. But I'll do that in a second. I'll do these first 3 first. So just the same thing, and it goes. One of my favourite live bands out there at the moment, if you can hear them, that's Hayseed Dixie. There we go. So there we go. Just take up the slack, just like that. Just like that. And then right angle, over the top, underneath, hold, and lock. That's it. We're going to do the first now. So we go undone. There, it's undone. And in we go. I don't know how fascinating this will be to anybody that's not a guitar player, but I hope you're impressed that I could see that tiny hole actually in the guitar. Now there we go. It's through, held. Now we go the opposite way round the pole, round the capstan. Pick it up. It's a little trickier here. Thumb there, upright and over the top. And there's your first string on. A couple of turns and she's held. I'll be going out on stage in a few minutes and probably, because I've been bragging and showing you this, it'll probably go horribly out of tune just for spite, but that's what I normally do. There you go. So there you go. There's up, over, under, pull it back, hold it, and lock. And one more somewhere, there it is. With a little bit of practice, this job can be done in about 5.5 minutes, 6 minutes now, from start to finish if you weren't demonstrating and you're just in a hurry. So there's no real excuse. It's a bit of a chore, especially if you've got to do the 12 string, but it's worth it because, you know, everyone's getting the benefit of new strings, and as I say, they don't normally go out of tune once I've done the little stretching routine. Has to be learnt by experience, because if you put it too tight you're going to pop them obviously, so just ease them into like this. You just have to probably tune them up a couple of times before they're actually settled, but you've got all this time in the world before the gig and you don't really want to be doing it on stage because it becomes an annoying little tick for people that waste time just tuning up. I think, you know, it's a pain. So I'll just get it roughly in tune and then I'll stretch them again and we'll see how we go. And I trim them off to that level, that length there. So they're just really great for stabbing your fingers and bleeding all over your guitar. But some people bend them around the other way, but I've always left them like that because when I used to smoke on stage, I used to stick a cigarette on the end sometimes, but of course those days are gone, thankfully. And there we are. Job done. I think changing your strings is like changing your socks or washing your hair. You just feel better afterwards and the guitar feels better and it sounds better to me. A lot of people don't like that early twang, but I like them to be nice and zingy when I start, because I can soon turn them into a dead string with just, you know, your own perspiration or your skin or whatever. Bluegrass band are playing in G. That's handy. And what gauge strings do you use? These I use from 11s to 52. So I'll read them out. It's I've got 11 on the top, then 15 on the second, 22 on the third, 32 on the fourth, 42 on the fifth, and 52 on the sixth. Works for me. And they've got a little bit of flexibility to them, so they'll bend, you know, they bend and they've got that elasticity that new strings have, which I think really works. New tone strings.